Alright, so before we start, if you're wondering why everything looks different and sounds different and is not looking cool, that is because I'm currently upstairs as where I live. The place that I just gave you a house tour of was flooded, and so we had to tear out all the carpet, and that in turn means I'll be living up here for about 2 weeks now, or 3 weeks. One of the two. Either way, all of the carpet downstairs tore out, and all of my equipment was also pushed into one corner so we could tear out the carpet. Meaning that, well, I found my camera and my ring light and everything that I need to record. I could not find my microphone, because it's somewhere in all that stuff. So, yeah. But also my green screen was covered with water. So that was pretty fun too. But welcome to the movie. Where I talk about different movies and stuff, and I want to talk about the 2 recent movies that I saw this week. That would be Broadway Idiot and Joker. And by the way, didn't you know that you can see these reviews as soon as I publish them if you follow my Letterboxd? It's an app for movie reviews. I'm a big fan of it. That's what I use to critique on movies. I'm getting all my notes on this app. Let's look up on Letterboxd, look up DJI, and you should see this picture and everything. Because I rebranded my entire channel. So welcome, and let's jump into the first movie. So the first movie I watched this week was Broadway Idiot. It is the documentary of how American Idiot, the album by Green Day, was turned into a Broadway hit musical. And honestly, for a Green Day documentary, it played it way too safe. It wasn't as cool and weird as the other documentary I watched called Like a Hand Grenade. It was very safe, and it felt more like a TV special than it did an actual documentary on Green Day. It was very safe and very it was very meh, but I liked the topic it was covering, as I am a big fan of Broadway and a big fan of all that kind of stuff that goes with musical theater. I was in musical theater for my entire high school career. There was a couple of moments that could have been spruced up with some cool, like weird visual stuff, but instead it was just like, now it's on, it's on Broadway, and of course it had the sit-down interview format like a TV documentary usually does. It felt very much like it was trying to pander to an audience who didn't know Green Day's work, even though everyone at that time at least knew who Green Day was. And so, I don't know, it felt very, it's kind of meh and whatever. But in terms of the topic it's covering, it does it pretty well. The topic that it covers, obviously, how did they turn a punk rock album into a full-fledged musical on Broadway? And if it was just focusing on that, it worked. But then there are times where it turns away from how this being made to Billy Joel Armstrong's life, which I'm not complaining about. I like hearing about that, but maybe have that be a whole different documentary instead of in one promising to tell you about how it became a Broadway musical. And maybe spruce up with some cool cinematography. There's a couple cool shots that they put in like slow motion, which sometimes works really well, like towards a scene at the end of the movie, and then sometimes it just works really weird and out of place. I don't know, it's very kind of weird like that. And then there are also segments of the movie that felt staged. With a documentary, you don't want that to feel staged. There's a moment where the director of the show, the person who transcribed all the music, and Billy Joel are like in a whole thing, and they're like, and Billy Joel's talking about like, yeah, like when I was a kid I sang Broadway kind of stuff, and it felt very scripted, like that. Maybe it's just me. I was kind of like, that segment in particular was like, why did you have to include that? Like, you could have shown that without telling you guys that, I guess. But overall, it felt okay. It was okay. Played it way too safe. But the topic at hand was pretty cool, and it had a couple of cool shots. So overall, I'm giving this, I give it a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and I'm going to stick with that rating indefinitely. I don't think there's much room for it to improve or for it to change. Obviously, you know, when I rewatch it, I guess, because this was my second time rewatching it, but my first time coming at it from a grading kind of thing. However, there is one thing that this thing does right, and that is it bashes on Donald Trump in back then. So
it was really strange to see Donald Trump. I was like, what are you doing here? Really?
Let's talk about apparently the most controversial movie of the year. Let's talk about Joker. I watched this film literally last night, so it's more fresh in my mind, so I can talk about it. And when I walked into the theater, there was one cop standing there, and then according to my friends, because around like 8:30, I made my way into the theater, and I sat down, and we were getting ready for the movie to start. And according to my friends, there was another cop added outside. So this movie has been controversial since it was announced. People thought it was gonna be like a shooting at a theater. There have been threats made, but I really just want to talk about how I thought of the film overall. So what did I think of the film overall? I really enjoyed it. This was one of my most anticipated releases from this year, because I am a big fan of the Joker. Like, I'm not a big fan of any other superhero thing, but the one person I can get behind is the Joker, and I really enjoyed almost every aspect of the film. It was really well shot. It had a weird soundtrack, which I think was a point. One of my friends actually pointed out how the soundtrack was weirdly cutting in and cutting out, and then another friend on top of that was because it was trying to portray something. Joaquin Phoenix gives a really solid performance as him. I don't see him as Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker. I see him as the Joker playing the Joker. But this movie doesn't glorify this character as all the critics said. It honestly doesn't glorify the Joker as a character. In the beginning, it makes you feel bad for him. But as the film goes on and he grows more and more insane, it makes you feel bad for everyone else around him. But now I want to talk about the spoiler part of the film. So if you do not want to watch spoilers for Joker, here is the timestamp where I finally give my review. So the first half of the film, up until the first 3 murders of the 3 people on the train, was very, very slow. It was very just like there, and it's obviously setting up things. But what I found weird is that all of the shots that were in the trailer were mostly in the first like 5 minutes of the film. With the opening shot is the signature look of him going like this and then dropping his whatever so he's sad. That is literally in the first 3 minutes of the film. The sign where he's by the sign, he's on the ground, that is within the first 5 minutes of the film. Also, all of these shots that are in the trailer are obviously just put there for the trailer, which I guess was kind of the point. I thought it was kind of weirdly placed, and the beginning was definitely its weakest point. But once those murders happen, then the film starts to pick up steam, and you really get sucked into the film. The second and the third acts of the film is the best part of the film. There are so many twists and turns that happen. There is a girl character in the film that for the first kind of half of the film, you think they're in love and that they are, you know, loving each other. And then it's revealed that he's just that fucking insane that he imagined everything that happened to them. So yeah, it was very interesting to see that happen, and I thought, I don't know about like any other reviewer, overall I liked how that happened. That twist was very cool to me. It was something I didn't see even coming. And then there's another twist later on. There's almost a twist movie that this movie takes. You know, you think that his mom fell in love with Thomas Wayne, but as it turns out, she was insane and adopted him. And then he goes. It's this whole thing, and there's a lot of parts in the film that are really well shot as well. There's a part that I loved a lot where it is a flashback to the mom when she was younger, and she is like she is sitting in the mental asylum where the guy tells her what her ex-husband did to the baby. But what's cool about the scene is that in the background of the scene we see Arthur himself as an adult watching it happen. That's really cool. There's a lot of cool things like that. There's a whole part where he imagined himself in the Murray show, which is a show that was popular in Gotham, whatever. And he's like, you know, and, oh yeah, haha, you know, come here, I give you a hug, can I love you? And then turns out that was all. It's really well shot in that way, and the direction of the film is also really cool. And this is the guy that made the Hangover movies, is the director of this movie. It is very graphic and violent in that way. So yeah. Alright, so if you're back, hi. I'm now going to give my final review of the film. Joker is a pretty good film, and I understand why people won't like it. It's not for everyone, and the first kind of like part of the film is very weak, and it's the weakest part of the film. But once it picks up after what happens, it starts to gain steam, and overall it's pretty entertaining to watch. If you can see it in a theater, that's probably the best place to do so. So overall, I think I'm going to give Joker, I'm going to keep it at the 4.5 out of 5 stars that I gave it on Letterboxd. This could change though. It can either go up to a perfect 5, or it could go down to a 4. As right now, it's a 4.5. So yeah, that's all I really have for this video. Thank you for watching it so much. If you liked the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Do what you guys do best, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Bye.